Welcome to Rising Tide Startups, where today's most exciting solopreneurs share their startup stories. They also deliver tangible strategies that they would implement personally if starting their business over today. Each episode is a startup masterclass. Make sure you take notes. Take it away, Kevin.
This is Kevin Pruitt with another episode of Rising Tide Startups, and my guest today is Luca Zambello. Luca, thank you for joining Rising Tide.
Yeah, Kevin, thank you for having me.
It's good to have you, and just wanted to, first of all, ask you, if you and I were meeting like at a networking event, how would you introduce yourself to me?
Well, I will tell you, I'm Luca, and I'm originally from Italy, and the CEO of Jurny, a tech hospitality company, and that focuses and has the mission of fully automate the experience for both guests and hosts and hotel owners.
So nobody just wakes up one day and decides that they want to be the connection point between guests and hotel owners. So was this born out of frustration? Was this born out of a need that you had, or were you just like sitting around an incubator somewhere and somebody said, hey, this is a problem somebody needs to solve?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Oh, I think naturally I'm a type of person that I like to fix problems. I was just noticing that, like, just, sometimes I just wander around the house and I see something that is like kind of like broken or something. I just try to fix it. Like, I think that's kind of what you have to be a little bit to be an entrepreneur, right? Problem solver.
For sure.
And looking at problems and kind of trying to find the problems that you're the most passionate about and then pursue that. I think I stumbled into the hospitality problem as by chance. I when I originally moved here, I came here to study, and as I was in school, I wanted to make some extra money, so I started like promoting clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I had a client that asked me to rent a house, like a villa to do an event, and then I couldn't find anything online. This was like 11 years ago now.
Yeah.
And so I realized that there was actual like brokers that they just worked out of word of mouth. Mm-hmm. To rent out villas in LA, and nobody was listing things online. And at the time, booking Expedia. Not Expedia, but like HomeAway and Airbnb were very early stage.
Right. Yeah. If they're at all. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And people were just like more of like apartments and stuff like that. So it wasn't really a thing that where people went to. Shortly after it became a thing, but so I saw the opportunity and I created a landing page that was called houserentallosangeles.com, and I started running Google ads. And that landing page made $1.2 million in revenue in the first year.
Wow.
Which was very, very interesting. So I stumbled into a business that business itself was short-lived because the industry just got saturated, and some of these bigger portals start like getting more traction. And so I opened a management company from there. I kind of pivoted to a management company. So it was the same business, just pivoted. And as a management company, I realized, by the way, I came here with the dream of starting a tech startup. So I'm like, I started a management company. I was like, if this is far away from being tech, so how do I turn this business into a tech business? That was problem number one. And two, I'm like, it's so operational heavy and needs of so many people to do what you need to do, that I'm like, with all the technologies available today, there must be a way to automate all of this.
and hence the idea was born.
So that's how Jurny was started.
So I'm curious. So, I mean, I can't imagine how you just put up a landing page and then 12 months later, you look back, you think we generated $1.2 million or something in revenue. So how long did that, I mean, was it like 12 months? It was just like a, flash fire and then it just went out overnight, or did it last for a few years, or, did competitors start seeing this and go, wait a minute, this crazy guy's making $1 million a year with a landing page?
that's what happened. Like, well, number one, the funny thing is that happened when it happened. I was like, okay, so the American dream is real. So making money is not that hard. But that was short-lived. Like that, it was not hard. It was hard. It became hard. Like the funny thing is that the things boomed almost immediately because there was so much demand for it, and people were Googling it, like how renting a villa online for production companies, for events, for short-term rental stays.
Yep.
And LA is full of like huge villas, and for a lot of people they buy those and looking for extra money because they can't afford them. So
For sure.
it was a good combination of factors. And so yes, but the second that we start getting a lot of traction, especially the people that've been in the industry for a long time, they were like, how is he doing it? What if who is he that all of a sudden he's like starting bringing like a lot of large clients? And so between the competitions that they start getting smarter, obviously, because they were in the market for longer than I was, homeowners start getting smarter as well, because they said, like, where is he getting all these clients? Can I not look elsewhere? And so list their properties directly on VRBO and stuff like that. So like within like a year, I think the business shrank like by almost 50%. But
yeah, poor guy, you're only making 500 million or 500,000 a year, So.
Yeah, I mean, I had expenses and stuff. And I was actually investing because I thought that the business was going to keep growing. So I was actually like reinvesting quite a bit into the business, and I pivoted the business into a management company. Basically, that's kind of like how it happened, because I said, if we're losing 50% of the business year over year, that's not going to look pretty in like 3-4 years.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't take long. I'm curious. So many people out there, if they would have had that 1 year, crazy good year, they would have probably stopped doing what they're doing and started selling their course on how to make 1.2 million a year doing, running a property management company or whatever, and sell courses and that's where the pivot would have happened. But you actually said, hey, I'm going to stay in the industry. I'm going to do something, kind of, directly related, but what is the new idea? And I mean, I can't imagine the stress though that would have been, after that second year, when you're just seeing revenue crashing and you're going, we've got to do something different.
Yeah, but that's the life of an entrepreneur.
That is absolutely
crazy up and downs. It's like, I think I don't mind them anymore. Like 10 years after, I'm like, that's what I sign up for. But for me, the money it's always being a secondary thing. Listen, it's a need, right? Everybody needs money. You need money to grow the business, right? But I came here with a very precise goal of inventing something and hopefully revolutionizing an industry through technology. That was my goal. When I was little, I was like looking at companies like YouTube and Google, and I was like, this young dropout college people that just made this like
have an idea,
and they changed the world.
Yep.
Like, how cool is that?
There is no doubt about it. I am curious though, that it almost sounds like you've come full circle. So what you started with your landing page and the website, is this not now what Jurny is kind of doing on, a broad scale online? What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, the main difference, I think, is that something that I learned, that you have to bring actual value, or if you are playing some form of arbitrage, eventually it's going to come to an end. That was a good lesson. And I was playing arbitrage. I wasn't creating any value. The customers existed, and the homes existed. Yes, I was connecting the two, but I wasn't really creating any value. I wasn't making life easier for people or anything like that. Like, it was a short-lived value. And so I really focused on Jurny on creating proprietary values, like actual technologies that changes people's businesses. So we, as a company, we focus on, from a guest standpoint of view, to being able to go from a booking, obviously using Apple Pay. So double click, you book, and you can just check right in. If you have to do any verification as a first time guest, you just do it right on the phone. And then you can open every single access door, like whether it's a hotel or an Airbnb or a apart hotel, right? You can open pool door, main door access, final door over your phone, or a single code across
Wow.
the entire apartment. You can control the room temperature. You can instantly connect to Wi-Fi, instantly connect to a virtual 24/7 customer support, virtual front desk. So all of that's from your phone. So I wanted to kind of like centralize the entire operation on a phone and give what I know of that is the demand of the newer generations and the newer travelers. Because it's all about efficiency and having things more at your fingertips and more ready. And everybody does everything with their phone. And I saw a need there. But from a B2B standpoint, like all this automation also are helping like operators, right? If you're operating a hotel, you're operating at a short-term rental, creating efficiencies and processes and automations, it just is going to lean up your operation.
Yeah.
It means you have less overhead, or you can, doesn't mean you have less personnel. You can reallocate the personnel to bring value.
Right.
One of the things that oftentimes, I say to hotel owners is that the front desk doesn't really bring any value to your guests. Zero. They're there like as a doorkeeper, like they're just like checking
like support.
IDs.
Yeah.
But what if you could reallocate those people to actually be a concierge instead of a front desk,
or sales or whatever? Yeah,
exactly, or whatever, right?
Something revenue generating, right?
Exactly. Now you have a better return on investment, and the guests have a better experience, right? So it's a bit more complicated what we do on the business side, but we help also with distributions, like not just selling on Jurny, but selling on across the board,
right?
On also other OTAs, optimizing pricing, optimizing cleaning processes through everything through a mobile app, and we give you access to just like we give you a single platform for the guest, a mobile app, we give you a single platform for an operator. Everything is in one place. You don't have to use 50 different tools because we consolidate everything in a single system.
It's facing it's bi-directional, I guess. In facing.
Correct.
So I'm a little curious. Sometimes I watch Shark Tank too much, and it kind of clouds my vision. But the more you describe this, the more I thought, as Kevin O'Leary would say, this is a licensing play. Have you talked to some of the big boys in the space and said, hey, Airbnb, or is this something that you can make how you can make Airbnb much more efficient, with this software? Go to hotel chains, go to Vrbo, whatever the big players are in the space, and maybe Jurny's becoming a big player in the space too. So what's the connection point between those?
Yeah, the ultimate goal is to become a big player. So, and it's part of also my personal mission. Number one, there's a couple things that we wanted to do different than what is being done. Number one is help the little smaller guys.
Right.
Unfortunately, the small guys have been crushed lately. Yeah. Aside from the pandemic, which was pretty bad, but not having access to economy of scale, some like some of the larger players like Hilton, Marriott, and Hyatt, and so on. So, it's reducing and the burst of all these new OTAs, like especially Airbnb, where now people can book homes as well.
Right.
All of a sudden, and all this automation are coming, which they don't know how to use. A lot of these people are kind of being left behind. And so I think there's something great about helping all these people out and creating a platform that can now help them access all these tools, access the economy of scale. Although, even though you didn't buy maybe a $300,000 $1,000 Marriott franchise, right? Like, and we give it to you for free. Like, I mean, obviously in exchange of a monthly fee, but there's no initiation fees. It's easy cancellation. It's just a SaaS service that can now fix the same problems that a franchise would have fixed you, actually even better. So
is it the pricing model kind of a flat rate model, or is it based on revenue? What's your pricing? Oh, it's a rev share. Okay.
Yeah, it's a rev share.
And that makes most sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So it aligns the interest perfectly. And again, we're all about creating additional value. We don't want to work with people that they don't see us as valuable. And at the same time, I think because it's a double-sided marketplace where we also are acquiring guests not only on our platform but also on our app. For the first time, I think we're valuing hosts just as much as guests, and we put them all equally as important. It's funny because it's the philosophy that is inside of our company as well, which putting everybody on equal plate, even as our employees. Like I always say, everybody has equal opportunities. Everyone is equally as important, right? Obviously, there's different roles,
right?
But I think it's important that we are grateful of every single one, right? And we understand the importance of everybody's work. Because Airbnb, not to say that they don't pay attention to their host, but Airbnb wouldn't be Airbnb without their hosts,
right?
And they wouldn't be Airbnb without their guests,
right?
So if you're paying attention to one or the other more, I don't think it's the it's just not our philosophy. Our philosophy is more like putting everybody in an equal plate and generally trying to help everybody and with this platform of opportunities.
So when was Jurny actually started? What was this kind of a launch date?
It's almost exactly 5 years ago. I think 5 years ago. Now. Basically.
So it was born out of, I mean, obviously it was kind of an idea that was created out of something else that you were doing at the time. I mean, because you were still in that kind of the hospitality space. But so when you launched it, did you also still have like your management company? Did you also have some other things going on, or did you say, hey, I'm all in, I'm burning the boats, here we go?
No, we use the management company. Like I kind of like put the management company into Jurny. Number one, to have some existing revenue and some existing cash flow and an existing operation. And then we said, let's utilize the assets that we're managing, plus let's acquire more assets that we manage and actually become a bigger management company so that we can have the necessary cash flow to hire more people, raise more money, and then build and have the adequate time to build what we built. It was a massive endeavor, like project that took years of development. And so it couldn't have not happened if we hadn't had something else happening at the same time.
See, I mean, you've accomplished your dream, though. You came to the States to do a tech startup, so at least you've done it. I mean, it doesn't matter if it ever makes a dime. You've done your dream, but it's just cool to see. I mean, it's just how the idea is taken on its kind of a life itself. But so when you went out and talked to some angels or some VCs about raising money, did they get it? I mean, was there a learning curve? Did they look at you like, you want to do what? Where they say, why would you? That's not a problem. There's hotels everywhere. There's rental companies everywhere.
I think so. We got a total of 2 investments, and I think I pitched over maybe 400 investors. So
you are persistent.
Like in my lifetime, right? Like so, from the lifetime of the business. So from the beginning, also the seed round. In the beginning, I didn't know anything about venture world and like nothing. Like, and then at one point things started clicking, and then we started learning, what they wanted to hear and how we needed to mold the business to look more what they were looking for. How to present the business. Like, I didn't study any of those things. My background is marketing, and I had Yeah, I mean a little bit, but very, very, like nothing compared to what I needed to know. My biggest school, believe it or not, has been WeWork.
Mm-hmm.
I was at a WeWork in Olive, the first WeWork outside of New York, actually. I purposely got an office there because they told me there's a bunch of startups. And like,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be around
That's where you want to
startups. I
live.
want to
That's right.
learn. Yeah.
That's right.
And that was my first school on understanding how, how this world works. But I knew nothing, you know.
But what a place
So,
to land and to launch. But so I'm curious, when you found that one or two VCs out there, angels out there that said, okay, we're gonna take a chance on you. Were there also like performance metrics that you had to meet as a result of receiving this funding? They said, okay, we'll give it to you, but you've got to meet these milestones here.
so not so much on the seed round. I think the seed round mentality is very much like, we'll give you capital, and you sound like you may know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes, there's some metrics that they expect you to achieve, but in the beginning it's very much like, we hope
Yeah, it's right.
that we
The
have the
metric
right
of
gut
hope.
feeling.
That's right.
I think that's very much it. Once we read the second round, which was a lot more substantial, which in effect was basically a Series A.
Yeah.
We call it Seed Plus because we want to call the next one Series A, but you call it whatever. And now Series A's are becoming bigger and bigger, more like the Series B's of like a few years ago. Now we have a lot more specific metrics like projections and things that were like held more accountable towards. So it definitely changes, and I think the next round is going to be like that even more.
Well, you got more metrics. You got a runway. You got a little bit of a track record of say yes, we can make projections based on past revenue and past results instead of the seed round. You're going, that is the round of hope.
Yes,
this is what we think we're going to do. We don't have anything to show for it right now, or very little, but this is just give us a little money and we'll give it a shot. But yeah, I'm really curious. So where do you see Jurny in 5 years? What's it going to look like? Describe the dream of Luca in 5 years.
Yeah, it's a great question. We hope to be the largest collection of instantly accessible assets. And what I mean with that is like a mix between hotels, professionally run hotels, and Airbnbs and apart hotels, and have the largest collection of it. Hopefully into maybe 1 million units or more, right? And because we believe that's what the modern traveler is looking for.
And do you see COVID having an effect on that?
Well, I think I don't think COVID is necessarily going to go away completely. I think we're just going to learn how to better live with it.
Learn to live with it, yeah.
I mean, the contactless experience is definitely something that is an additional value.
Right.
So if anything can plays in our favor, I don't think travel is going anywhere. Even this Omicron, travel got affected by, I don't know, 10-15%. Not more than that. That's like nothing compared to the first wave that we had in 2019. I think we had 95%.
I was going to say it almost went to zero. That's right.
It was like, I've never seen something like that.
Yeah.
That was very much doomsday scenario.
And I mean, obviously you felt the effects of that as well. I mean, on just traffic through the app itself.
I don't think anyone in the hospitality industry didn't feel the effects. Whatever you were doing, even if you're a completely pure SaaS play, it was pretty intense moment. I think at the moment I've been pretty, as an entrepreneur, you have to be optimistic. And also I am a contrarian in generally speaking. I invest in markets when people don't invest, and I usually sell when everybody's invest. I did that with crypto. I do that with like kind of almost anything. So, and I think that puts me kind of like in a bad, sometimes in bad situations, because like when the pandemic arrived, I said, okay, great, this is the perfect time to double down on everything, because everybody's stopping to grow. We should double down, right? Because if we double down on technology, on client acquisitions, when the pandemic is over, we're going to be in a great spot. And I'm sure, and I was like, I'm sure investors are going to see us doubling down as a positive, and they're going to want to put money because they know hospitality is not going to go anywhere. I could have not been more wrong about it. like I think like every investor was like, hospitality? No, thank you. Like that sucks when there's like a more concrete solution, and travel is looking better. So yeah, that was something I learned as well.
Just see, I mean, just look at all the life lessons that you've walked through in a relatively short period of time. I mean, I'd love this part of kind of our interview process is really kind of our mentor moment, where we want to ask you, like just lessons you've learned. If you're talking to somebody that's behind you on the journey, no pun intended, but behind you on the journey, and saying, they're just getting started. What are two really key lessons that you've learned that you think would be sage pieces of advice for somebody that's kind of just getting started on the startup space?
There's a lot of advice.
We'll pick the two best ones.
Yes. Well, number one, I say like have the right expectations of what you're walking into. It's not going to be easy. I mean, the odds is they're not going to be easy. I'm sure there's maybe a 0.01% of someone that stumbled into something and just made it pretty big immediately. But it's not going to be easy, and it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
Pace it out. Don't burn yourself out. It's so easy to be like, yeah, there's going to be times in life where you have to double down and you have to like run faster. But usually in the marathon, you do that when you're towards the end, not when you're in the middle or in the beginning, because it's not a good idea to do it before.
I mean, you had mentioned earlier too, just kind of the ups and downs, just the expected ups and downs of being an entrepreneur. I mean, that just comes with the territory. I mean, it's, there's going to be bright days, there's going to be rainy days, and there's going to be things that you just have to weather, and there's going to be waves you get to ride. So exactly. I love that, just walking in with realistic expectations and just understanding that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And it's you even add at the end, it'll pace yourself in that as you're walking through that, and have a long-term view of the journey versus just like it is a sprint. But is there anything that we just really haven't touched on today that you'd like to kind of close us out with? And then I'd love for you to tell our audience where the best place to find you.
Yeah, it's funny because I think I'm the only social network I'm on is LinkedIn, because I've as part of like I think discipline myself on this marathon. I actually I don't want to say anti-social media, but I just focus only on one, and it's my LinkedIn. And then obviously, I try to do as many, podcasts or interviews opportunities or articles, because, I like to share my experience and hopefully prevent other people to make the same mistakes that I made and make their life easier. And yeah.
So your website is jurny.com, right? JURNY.com. And it's an app as well, or just a website?
Yeah, it's if somebody wants to book any of the properties on our platforms, they would not need to download the app. And they can just Jurny app, JURNY, like you spell it correctly, and like on the Apple Store or Android, and then they can go visit us on the website, or if they want to reach out to me directly, they can go on my LinkedIn, Luca Zambello, and CEO of Jurny, and happy to help if I can.
It is a really cool website. I spent a little bit of time, looking at it before we jumped on the interview today, and yeah, I love that. Just kind of it's easy to navigate, and it really has some cool stories and just really useful, I guess, applications within the website itself. But Luca, thank you for just taking time tonight and just sharing your story and, the humble start in Italy, in northern Italy, how he lands in California and then launches the tech startup, the overnight success like 15 years later. I mean, as you can say, for sure, but really just appreciate you just playing your part in helping all boats rise in a rising tide. Luca, have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin, for having me and for the great question.
Another episode in the books. We hope you heard some great takeaways. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on iTunes and YouTube. As always, thanks for listening to Rising Tide.